Hello, and welcome to the virtual tour of Mr. Russell's virtual scripture class course syllabus. I am Mr. Russell. I want to guide you through some of the highlights of the course syllabus, at least as I see them. The first thing I want to point you to is my Twitter handle. Because we are virtual this year, I want to really maximize the size and the power of my digital fiefdom, and so I'm going to be trying to use Twitter a little more frequently. Please give me a follow, or at least from time to time check in just to see what's going on. There'll be a variety of different kinds of notes and highlights from the class will be posted there. The second thing that I want to point to is if we come down here to supplies and materials, most of these are pretty straightforward. The one I want to highlight is this one right here about the Bible. Obviously in a scripture class, the Bible we use is critically important. There are two translations that I prefer. Not all translations are created equal. The first is the New American Translation. This is the translation that the Catholic Church uses at Masses. So when you are hearing the scripture read aloud to you at church, you are hearing it from the New American Bible. The other one is the New Revised Standard Version, or the NRSV. The NRSV is the scholarly translation of record, one of the more recent translations and done by a large group from across the Christian world and including Jewish voices for the first time, which gives it some accuracy advantages. Absolutely no King James versions. No offense if you love yourself the King James Version, but it is not appropriate for scripture study, since everywhere it can, it will trade accuracy for sounding pretty all the time. As we scroll down just a little bit further, I want to come back to some of the notes here on method and assessment. In particular, and I think I've said this to you a number of times now, but it's worth repeating, I really do want to make myself available to help you. If there's anything that you need assistance with, please, please, please just ask. There's a reason why the just ask him line here is italicized. It's because it's super important. Speaking of things that are super important, you'll notice there's a line in here that is both bolded and italicized, so I want to draw as much attention to it as possible. Let me circle it a couple of times here with my cursor. This line right here is crucial. Most assigned work can be redone, turned in, and regraded even multiple times if those redos are completed within 7 days of the end of a marking period. My goal in assessment is for you guys to get it right, and if that means you don't quite get it right the first time out, but with some feedback or with some guidance you can get it right the second time out, that's fine with me, that's great. Or if you can't get it on the second time, if you get it the third time, also fine, also great. Or the seventh time, also fine, also great. The only thing I ask is that if you are planning on redoing assignment, just reach out to me first, and then also make sure you turn it in sometime before the last week in the quarter, just to create some space for me to actually regrade it. It's a really valuable policy. Your success is entirely in your own hands. Please, please, please take full advantage of it. I'm going to scroll down here to the classroom procedures, and especially talking about this one about being present. This one I'm going to be a stickler on this year. Obviously, we don't have the advantage that you had last year in your classes of having some time to create a classroom culture and create a community and connect with one another live and in person before going virtual, which means we really have to max out our focus and our attentiveness and our presence in our virtual space. And so what does that mean? It means making sure that your face is fully visible in the Zoom room. It means avoid doing any kinds of things that are going to distract from people's focus. And it means you have to try to speak up, right? It's easy to sort of sit back and let the screen do the work for you, but I'm going to really encourage you in the strongest possible way to try to insert your voice into the conversation as much as possible. If every one of us commits to trying to say something, we have a much better chance of actually saying something interesting. The last point then I want to make, which is not to say that this other stuff isn't important, but just to wrap it up and put a bow on it, there's this last line in the course description and goals. The goal is for students to become more thoughtful about their faith and better able to understand society by increasing their knowledge of the Bible, its authors, and the world from which it emerged. I want you to learn about the Bible, but even more than that, I want you to have a personal experience of the Bible. I want this to change the kind of person that you are and the kind of person that you are becoming. So as much as possible, open yourself up, not just to the accumulation of new knowledge, which is always and everywhere good, but also, and maybe especially, to the accumulation of a new identity, of a different way of being. The Bible is good for that too. Thank you guys for sitting through this video. I hope this was helpful. Please, please, please take the syllabus in its entirety as some really important information. And again, reach out if there are any questions.